Hello. Okay. Welcome everybody. This live stream does not have a theme. There's no theme. I should have listened to whoever decided they wanted to do a watch along. I should have made that decision, but I wasn't feeling it. I don't think I can watch no more wrestling, man. I haven't watched any extra wrestling in 2 weeks. I got immersed in Powerpuff Girls, and then I started watching King of the Hill. I just finished King of the Hill today. So we'll talk about that on the pop culture live stream. I also talk about Fantastic Four. I did watch that movie. I want to get an opportunity to watch it one more time, and we'll talk about it on Saturday or Sunday or something, whenever I decide to do the live stream. But today we're still doing wrestling, even though I haven't watched any extra wrestling. But there's no particular subject that I want to get into. I'm sure I'll find something as the wrestling world turns. There has been more. Well, I guess we can start here. Let's start right here. Let's start with Lance Storm. Lance Storm. No, let's start with Lance Storm because it leads into another subject from the same group of people that I want to talk about. So,
all right, Hulk Hogan.
I want to talk about Lance Storm's comment.
What do you think about
about Brock Lesnar? And I want to talk about what kind of thought process is going on with Lance Storm here. It's a short clip, but it should tell you a lot about what's going on here.
About the return of Brock Lesnar.
I don't think it's about Brock. I think it's about the working environment of women within WWE. And under Vince, there was a very unfavorable, bad, pick your own word, work environment for women, dating back to Rita Chatterton, to the objectivity of women with bra and panties matches and thongathons and puppies, the very handsy makeout sessions that women had to do with Vince McMahon. Take that forward to whatever necessitated Vince to offer multi-million-dollar NDAs to women to stay silent, to what we learned about Janelle Grant, and Vince was removed. And Hunter has made things so much better. Women are making way more money. Women are legitimate stars. Women aren't objectified like they used to be. Women can wear non-revealing outfits and still be big stars. So to me, whether you bring Brock back or not, or anyone else back or not, to me, you need to ask your question. Does this support your move to improve and make a respectful, safe environment for women in your company? Or does it detract from that and make it feel like you're going backwards? Because I think if you just look at each individual case, well, did this person do something that's really worth that? Oh, was this one instance? It's not about the individual instances. It's about the overall message you send to women who work for you and in your company about the environment they are going to have to perform in. And I think you need to look at it from the women's standpoint and whether they would be in favor of something or not.
All right, so we need like a bureaucracy of women to make hiring decisions for you, because bra and panties matches 25 years ago, or maybe even 15 years ago, then we need to have this bureaucracy of women make these decisions. So does that mean that the blacks get their own bureaucracy? Do the Asians get a bureaucracy? How many people do we need to go through before we make a hiring decision? Lance Storm, who's never run a wrestling company. I don't even want to address a lot of the stuff with Vince because, again, he's trying to make things extremely clean when things are not extremely clean. right? This is how you know you're dealing with propagandists. Vince made the women the main event of WrestleMania twice while he was in power. Twice. The women started making a ton of money under Vince. The women wear less clothes now than they did when Vince was there. They're more sexualized. In recent years, almost all of these girls are on TikTok, taking bikini pictures, all this stuff since Vince left. So we're not even talking about that. We shouldn't even be discussing that. The evolution of the woman's role has been an ongoing thing since the 80s. Because that was the first time the women started being regulars was the 80s. The women were never really regulars anywhere else. The only other wrestling company that had a women's division was the AWA. The NWA had a women's championship, but you could put that in quotations because they never had an official women's title. So that means that the NWA territories never had an individual women's championship. So none of them invested in the women's wrestling. Vince invested in the women's wrestling, and then he was following what his audience wanted. His audience wanted Sunny, not Bull Nakano. So he went with what his audience wanted. That's what you guys say he should do, right? He should listen to the audience. That's what the audience wanted. The audience wanted Sable, not the jumping bomb angels. But again, let's put that to the side. What he's saying is, does the women feel comfortable with this decision? They don't get an opinion. Did the men get to get an opinion when it comes to Nikki Bella having a goddamn woman who committed domestic violence on the roster? Did the men get an opinion? No, they didn't get an opinion. Yes, that was Lance Storm. The thing is, he's Canadian, which means he was born with no testicles. They cut your testicles off right after birth. You get circumcised for your foreskin and your testicles in Canada. All right? Just like in England. They take the nuts right along with the foreskin. So of course he would say something like this. And I asked the question like, wait a second. Lance Storm works in TNA, last I checked, right? Now I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he was working in TNA when Don Callis was working there. I'm not sure. I shouldn't say that because I'm not entirely sure. So I'm gonna take that back. I don't know. But he's talking about the overall culture. And I think that Lance Storm and people who think like him want to give too much power, too much authority to busybodies. All right, you can't give busybodies too much power and too much authority. All right. If you want to talk about the culture and are you going backwards? What do you mean? Are you going backwards? Does Brock Lesnar coming back mean that all of a sudden there's going to be bra and panties matches and goddamn Bird Girl had a 30-minute match the same night Brock returned? I'm pretty sure that's not going to do anything. Okay, so he wasn't there when he wasn't there when Don Callis did his thing there. Because I think Don Callis was doing his thing in like what was that? Maybe 2017, 2018 or something like that. It was before the pandemic. I'm pretty sure when Don Callis was running around. No, Don Callis didn't leave Impact until after the pandemic. He didn't leave Impact. So Scarlett was there. Was that 2018, 2019 or something like that when she left Impact? Somebody look that up for me real quick. It's an interesting interesting perspective, and these guys are just getting more and more.
All right, Hulk Hogan's funeral was on.
Wait. You're gonna? No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about Hulk Hogan's funeral. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that at all. I am want to play some audio from his daughter though. Okay, yes, we absolutely want to know what happened with Joey Ryan. I was paying attention. I was following that story, the Joey Ryan story, but we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that because Joey Ryan is a son of a bitch. And people was asking me like why am I still so, hard on Joey Ryan? It's been 5 years. We're gonna go into it. We're gonna remind some people why I don't want Joey Ryan nowhere near the wrestling business. So I'm about to put my woke cap on when it comes to talking about Joey Ryan. Because fuck him. All right. So we're gonna get to that. But right now, I'm trying to figure out if Lance Storm was in TNA when Don Callis was doing his business, was conducting his business. Cross and Scarlett signed in 2020, so that means after they got released. Okay, there we go. And he went to work for TNA right after he got left from WWE, which was in 2020. Because I think Cross and them got released in 2021 because they were still in NXT at the time, if I remember correctly. They got brought back in 2022 after Triple H. Was it 2022 or 2023 when Triple H got full control? Well, I don't know, but Lance Storm, I'm sure, had some kind of run-in with Don Callis. Oh yeah, Don. Oh, he's absolutely a pervert, and we're going to discuss that momentarily. We definitely going to discuss Joey Ryan being an absolute scumbag, full blown fucking scumbag. So El Rojo, he says he's a local in the indie wrestling scene that Joey Ryan tried to return to. So he's gonna tell us about Joey Ryan's return. Then I'm gonna tell you about the things that Joey Ryan did when he got outed in 2020. We're gonna talk about that. I gotta pull him up because I hadn't even thought about talking about Joey Ryan. Well, I guess we're gonna have to. El Rojo says, so about 2 months ago, I got into an argument with a booker because he was trash talking the local scene. I said, who do you plan to book? Bro said, people know how to work. A known rapist and groomer was not what I had in mind. Look, of all the people who were canceled during the speaking out nonsense, Joey Ryan is one of the most disgusting. All right. Now, he's not the worst because there's dudes from the UK who was admitting that they were having sex with their 16-year-old students. That happened. He's not that high up on the list. But he absolutely is on the list. Absolutely on the list. No. That's fine. I am 100% involved with this Joey Ryan thing. Let's go right into Fightful. This is from 2020. Joey Ryan was accused of 18 different allegations against him. Okay. The sheer volume of which is absolutely astronomical. All right. Now, again, my whole thing is there could be some things in these conversations which could be a miscommunication. But that should not involve underage girls. All right. And that's my sticking point. Now, from July 2020, Joey Ryan states, I have never had sex with a woman without her consent, and I have never acted criminally towards a woman or with sex. Okay. Now, so let's go with this one. He had a fiance, and he claims that this fiance was trying to ruin his life, and or the fiance of an indie wrestler. I'm not going to say the indie wrestler's name, but that he claimed that the fiance of this indie wrestler was trying to ruin his life, and he did not know that this female indie wrestler had a boyfriend or a fiance. Okay, that's completely a misunderstanding. So he claimed he was accused of assaulting a woman on a Tinder date in 2015. Joey Ryan said he was never on Tinder, and he was actually traveling with Candice LeRae, so he was never on Tinder in 2015. All right, maybe that's a misunderstanding. So he propositioned a fan to do a dick grab. So his whole gimmick involves people grabbing his crotch, which should have been a red flag for everybody except the kinky idiots who was pushing that shit at the time when it was happening. Mick Foley did the dick flip. And we were all told we were weirdos for thinking that this was, oh no, it's just wrestling, man. This dude was telling people to grab his crotch. What? So he apparently had propositioned a fan to grab his crotch. Of course, Joey Ryan said this was untrue and that he was always professional at these merch tables. So another indie wrestler said that Joey Ryan assaulted her in the bathroom. Joey Ryan claimed that they was kissing in the bathroom, and she performed consensual oral sex on him. She said that he claims that he has DMs of her propositioning him for threesomes and a bunch of other stuff, and all this sort of stuff. Whatever. So there was another female indie wrestler that he apparently tried to use mental health issues to get her to pursue him. So apparently he was married during all this time, and he was using her as a confidant and shared a hotel room with her, but it was her idea. And he has written consent of them sharing the same bed. What is he talking about? Did he break out a notepad? Here, sign this? I don't believe that. Nobody believes that. So he also was accused of sexually assaulting a woman in a hotel room. He said that they had bonded over their, quote, respected separations, because I guess he got separated from his wife, and that they were kissing, and she was worried about people seeing it, so they went up to the hotel room. He said they did shows together. He took her on a date. They had drinks. They went back to the hotel. They had sex, which he says is consensual, but she panicked. Okay? They had consensual sex, and then she panicked. About what? I don't know. So then he's also allegedly assaulted another woman. He said they were friends. They spent time in hotels together. They were spooning and grinding. She didn't want him to remove his pants, or she didn't want him to remove her pants. I'm sorry. She agreed he could remove his pants, and she performed a consensual sex act. So her pants were still on, his pants was off. So she probably gave him a handy or something. And he said that that's not true. He fell asleep. And said they both regretted hanging out, but they were both regretted what happened in the hotel room, but they were still hanging out afterwards. But here's another thing. He claims that there was an allegation that he was sending inappropriate text messages to Elena Black. I say her name because that's Cora Jade in WWE. This girl is like 23 today, right? She's like 23, 24 years old today. 5 years ago, she was 19. All right. And we know that this was before 2020. So he was allegedly sending her inappropriate messages. Roxy, aka Roxanne Perez, she's 23 years old today. All right. 5 years ago, she was 18. So it says, so this came from Hyann, who is also a wrestler for Booker T. Again, Roxy used to train with Booker T. Hyann was also training with Booker T. She claimed that Joey Ryan created a storyline where he would wrestle Roxy while she was underage, but she couldn't do the dick flip because she was underage. But as soon as she turned 18, he would get her to do the dick flip. And this whole thing was laid out so he could be Joey Ryan, right? I'm going to read it as it's written here. Allegations of making Roxy feeling uncomfortable, an allegation from Hyann claiming Ryan booked Roxy on her 18th birthday so she could grab his penis. Says it was part of a storyline that Roxy couldn't touch his penis because she was underage. But once she turned 18, he could, quote, be Joey Ryan. He couldn't do the match because of conflicting dates, so he booked her for Bar Wrestling, which is the wrestling company that he used to own. When the date became free, they agreed to keep the Bar Wrestling date. He said he didn't mean to offend Roxy, and then says, I'm old enough to be your father, and says it was inappropriate for him to offer to make out with her when she turned 18. And said he respected it when she said no. This is what I'm talking about. All right. This guy got way too comfortable with underage girls. Way too comfortable for underage girls. He's coming up with storylines about these girls grabbing his nuts. What is this guy doing? What is he thinking? Okay. He also was inappropriate with another indie female wrestler. All these are different indie female wrestlers, by the way. They're not the same person. They're different women. He said he misread the signals and thought she wanted to hook up. Okay, I can understand that. And plus, she's not underage, so whatever. Now, he also was accused of sexually assaulting another indie wrestler. He said that they had a consensual threesome, which the girl later bragged about, but says that at a later date, she claimed to feel traumatized about it. What is he talking about? This guy has had so many sexual encounters in which the woman feels traumatized or she panicked. What's happening? That's too weird for me. Okay, that's too weird. So he was asked to be on a podcast, and he says that these people told him it was a new podcast, and he called this woman's bluff. And I guess he took off his clothes, and then the woman got offended because he took off his clothes. And then he claimed that he fooled around with these women in the hotel room, and they were flirting with each other. He claimed he got aggressive with a young lady while on the road in a car, and he was married. He apologized for invading this woman's personal space. There was another young woman who he invaded her personal space, whatever that means, and says that he respected when she said no. He also was alleged to have pressured another female indie wrestler into sex using his power. I don't know if they expressly explained what his power is. Like, I don't like the idea of just using the word power and saying that explains everything. I don't know about that. There's allegations that he was pursuing other female wrestlers in the UK trying to pressure them into sex. Here's another. Oh, wait, did the site crash? The site crashed. This shit is so perverse. It's so sickening. It's so disgusting that the site crashed. So I gotta get the site back. What is going on here? Now, why would the site crash? The next one, I think, involved a 16-year-old girl. I don't know how old Joey Ryan is, but I think he was in his 30s when all this stuff was happening. Okay. He said, here's another one. Allegations of being inappropriate with another female wrestler at a bar while she was underage. Freaked out when he found out about her age and wondered why a 16-year-old was allowed in the bar. Admits to inviting her to hang out after the incident because he didn't want her to feel traumatized. Are you serious? Now, I can understand a underage girl got into the bar. That's kind of weird. But then you find out she's underage and you still invite her somewhere else after the incident. I just found out you're underage. I don't want you to feel traumatized. So, hey, come hang out with me. What? Nah. Nah. This, see, no. Okay, no way. Now, he was alleged to have harmed his girlfriend during sex. He claims that she was a porn star and liked it rough, saying that he wanted to be a considerate lover and do the things that she was always into. He says she complained that he choked her too hard and didn't do other things that she claimed, called it a toxic relationship. Get out of here. No way. This guy's a pervert. At the very least, he's a pervert. That was his whole gimmick. His gimmick was that he's a pervert. No way. We can do without Joey Ryan. Thank you very much. Okay? We can live without Joey Ryan. He can kick fucking rocks barefoot. All right? We don't need Joey Ryan at all, period. Now, if you want to make if Lance Storm wants to talk about the safety of women in pro wrestling, Joey Ryan is such a case. All right? Now, apparently what occurred, and I think El Rojo probably knows a little bit better than me, but as I did a short on, what was this, Wrestling Prestige. This Wrestling Prestige promoter, he decided to run a show the same night in a venue not far away from where the Portland Wrestling show was going to be, and that was planning to host Joey Ryan. So apparently this guy harassed enough people, threatened to blackball enough people, that they just basically canceled the show. The promoter of the show backed out, decided to not pursue the Joey Ryan business even further. And look, under normal circumstances, I would say it's absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit because, again, you deal with the person who is the problem. You don't attack all these other people. But he did it for a good reason this time, because Joey Ryan is an absolute pervert. All right, Joey Ryan is a bad deal. No way. We can't do that one. We can't do Joey Ryan. Nah. We're not going out on a limb for Joey Ryan. He's a really bad guy. Okay? He's not a good one. And he's not worth the headache. He's not worth the drama, the problems. He always sucked. It's not like he was, decent, but his whole thing was his gimmick went to his head. And he was friends with the right people. When he was in TNA, he used to, I think him and Marty Scurll together, neither one of them went to AEW immediately. Was it him or was it Marty Scurll that said that the Clique had people in both WCW and WWE? And he was talking about no, it was Marty Scurll that said that because he was questioned about why he didn't go to AEW. Marty Scurll later was admitted to having sex with an underage girl. Well, she was of age in England, where I guess the act occurred, but she's underage in the United States. And he was talking about how the Clique had friends in both companies, and we want to do the same thing. We don't all want to be in AEW. We want to have some in WWE. We want to have some in TNA. But I think he was working in Ring of Honor at the time. So these people are perverts and weirdos. And there was a time there where these guys were basically running the business on the indie scene, and you couldn't argue with them. You couldn't tell them these guys were trash. They didn't want to hear it. El Rojo says he got lies from the Portland Pro Wrestling booker. Yeah, there was calls from another booker and trainer and renter that wouldn't work with him, but all the wrestlers that dropped did so freely. That makes sense. He said the independent of the prestige wrestling event, no one would rent their rings to him, and wrestler in the community was giving him a lot of shit. See, that makes sense. I'm gonna say the promoter from the wrestling prestige basically said that he was leading this charge against Joey Ryan. And look, I didn't really care because at this point in time, it's the right thing to do because Joey Ryan is the shits. For starters, bad gimmick, bad wrestler, bad person. All right. I've never seen somebody have so many awkward sex situations. No, he's a weirdo. He's a straight up godforsaken weirdo. I don't know, man. Something like that is absolutely what you should be gatekeeping. Something like that is where you start asking about the question of how is the culture surrounding your company. He said the booker, El Rojo says the booker is a guy named Matthew Mers, and you can find news reports of him spending 3 years in jail for hacking fellow council members in his city government. What kind of dipshit y'all got running? Look, indie promoters are as scummy as the wrestlers, for God's sake, man. God damn. Look, the promoters are terrible. I swear to God, they're terrible. Jesus in heaven. All right, so we're gonna play. We talked about Joey Ryan. We talked about Lance Storm, who wants this panel of women to start making decisions. We should just ask the women. How about we ask the women? Now we're going to talk about another quote unquote complicated figure. Your boy Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster, his daughter, went on TMZ and did a really long interview, it's like 5 minutes. And I don't want to go through this entire thing, but I think we might have to. That Rojo said there's a reason why his Portland wrestling rebirth was happening in Vancouver, Washington, and not Portland, Oregon. I was wondering why that was. Because when I saw the banner, it said Portland Wrestling, and I looked underneath it says Washington. I was like, what the hell? I don't know where Vancouver, Washington is, so I figured like is it on like the border or something? like is it close to Portland? I don't know how close it is. But very bizarre shit. Very, very bizarre shit. Let's talk about Brooke Hogan. She's not happy about a lot of things right now.
I know this is a really difficult time for you for many reasons, and I'm really sorry.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I'm starting to think that she might have had some surgery on her face. talking about Brooke Hogan. Because she looks markedly different from the last time I saw her.
My heart is racing out of my chest right now, and I'm feeling a plethora of emotions. So I'm going to try to get through this as professionally as I can.
Well,
But she does look a little. She does look a lot like Hulk Hogan. She has some of the same facial features. Oh boy, that's rough.
Start with the funeral. So you chose not to go, and I know you really haven't had contact with your dad in the last 2 years of his life. So let's start off with why you chose not to go.
I think to get to the funeral, you have to start at the beginning. You know, I'm embarrassed that it's even come to this. You know, I have a life. I have 2 kids. I have a job. I have a business. I have been trying to live quietly and peacefully. And the only reason my face is on TV right now is because I have had to constantly battle false claims. The first one being Brooke didn't come to her dad's wedding. Why? Oh, well, Brooke is estranged from her dad. Why? And it's like, I always say 2 things can be true, right? I can love my dad, which is the absolute God's honest truth. I love my father.
Oh wait, there's a picture of her from some years ago. That's a different person. They happened to flash a picture of her. I don't know how long ago this was, but that's a different woman I'm looking at. She pulled a Linda, and she went and got her face worked on. Okay? I don't know why she's a young woman. She's probably, what, 30-something? Maybe 40? But I don't know why she wouldn't got her anything done to her face.
I love that picture of us. I love my dad. But
Peace
my
out,
dad and I
Rojo.
have
Thanks
been
for
through a lot
helping.
of stuff over the years. If you want to give it a quick Google, anybody can find out the hurt that has happened to me throughout the years. And I've forgiven, and I've always put my dad first. That's my daddy. People know, as a woman, a father-daughter bond is so strong, even more so than a mother-daughter bond, you know. And I love my mom, but my dad and I were very close, very, very close. And I've been through a lot of things with him. Surgeries, lots and lots of surgeries, a lot more surgeries than what's happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah, some of them were done on YouTube because they keep showing pictures. That's a different woman I'm looking at. And she ain't got no sisters.
We've been through a lot. I've forgiven a lot. I've been by his side through everything. Even if I haven't gotten the whole truth, even if I have been a little bit misled, I have still had his back.
So I know this happened a while ago.
She didn't answer the question. Did you notice that? He asked her, why didn't she go to the funeral? She gave a bunch of other shit, mentioning her kids, mentioning her business, and some estrangement between her and her dad. But she never explained why she didn't go to the funeral. I think in a separate clip, she said that her dad never wanted a funeral in the first place or something like that. I don't know, but she didn't answer the question.
Oh, but when the sex tape came out, and when you initially had supported him and apparently didn't necessarily know everything that was in it, particularly the references to boyfriends of yours using racial epithets, how big a role did that play in this estrangement?
Well, I still get nasty comments that I have to hide, you know, regarding I'm sure Hulk's glad she's not dating a black guy now, you know.
I heard somebody say, you burn the coal, you pay the toll. Maybe that's why her face looks so different.
I'm still getting it, you know, and
that was inappropriate. That was really inappropriate. I'm sorry.
For that whole sex tape drama, everybody focused on Hulk said the N-word and you know, this whole thing, and we're fighting for this amendment, you know, privacy and, you know, big hero movement. But I never got a direct apology for that. That was extremely embarrassing for me. You know, the money that he was pumping into my career, there's a lot more behind that. that a lot of people don't know, you know, and what is really confusing me right now, and I think the core of what we're here to talk about, is whoever is spinning this negative narrative about me.
She here to talk about herself. She ain't here to talk about Hulk. She was like, well, he never apologized to me for embarrassing me, which I guess is, you know, that's something. But now she's like, people are lying about me. Wait a minute. We ain't got there yet.
Trying to get ahead or discredit me or whatever they're trying to do. What I've been hearing it's so false, it's laughable. And it's making me mad. And it only tells me that their golden goose is gone. I relied on my father for nothing financially. I have my own job. My husband has a job. We do not have any money coming in from my father since I was 18 years old. And everybody else relied on him for a paycheck. And now that golden goose is gone.
Brooke, you know, peace or not, it's got to be hard. And I'm sorry again. And I really, really appreciate you giving me the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to say that whatever representative from that camp continues to spew these lies, if they want to keep going, grab your best hold, grab your best lawyers, because I'm ready to go. Because I'm done with it. I'm done. This is ridiculous. I know too much. I've been through too much. I'm not to be played with. This is not. I'm done. So it better stop. I want to get back to my life. I want to get back to my children, who for this last 2 weeks has not been able to have the full attention of their mom and dad. We don't have babysitters and nannies and people parading around here. I need to spend time with my kids. I am a nervous wreck. I haven't eaten. I haven't slept. This is ridiculous that this has gone to this point of this war of words. And that's why I'm here with you, Harvey, to put it to rest. My dad has finally been put to rest. Leave him alone. Leave me alone. And let the poor man go to heaven and just end it. Stop coming after me. I'm not the one you want to come after.
Man, she went on, like, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, she put on Instagram, my father hated the morbidity of funerals. He didn't want one. And although I know people grieve in many ways, and I'm so grateful for all the celebrations and events organized to honor him, as his daughter, I had to make my own decision to honor him the best and most genuine way I knew how, privately, the way that made me feel the closest to him. The only thing missing today was him in his pop-up lawn chair watching the waves and the sunset. Daddy, we honored you in the simplest way that agreed with my soul. We took our babies to the beach and put them in the same salty waters you loved. So she wrote more than that, but she explained why she didn't go to the funeral. Yeah, there was no way. So she put up on Instagram that her father hated funerals. She was on TMZ to talk about herself. All right. So then she went on, I think, Bubba the Love Sponge. That dipshit. He's the fucking guy who ruined Hulk Hogan's life. But we're not going to talk about that. I want to talk about Brooke Hogan on Bubba the Love Sponge.
I was now pregnant with twins and married, and my husband's family is so kind and so sweet, and I have something to lose. Money didn't matter. You know, I was like, take me off everything. And I was sobbing. When I wrote the text to Terry McCoy, the guy that manages his money. I was sobbing, and I just said, take me off.
So she's talking about wanting to get out of the will. So she didn't want anything when Hulk Hogan passed away. So she apparently got written out of the will. And she's trying to explain why. But she's not going to actually explain why. Okay.
Everything. I don't want to be a part of it, because I knew in my mind this is how the math was going to work out. You know, if Sky is a Scientologist, which apparently she's still in good standings, but she says she left. It's not for me to judge. She was always nice to me. I have no problem with Sky. But if she was a Scientologist, I know that that's a very powerful backing. And then I thought, oh my God, if I get left any money or if Nick gets left any money, no offense, but my mom has been known to kind of find herself in the mix with, things like that. And I'm like, I don't want to fight Linda. I don't want to fight Scientology. I don't want somebody that I love to get knocked off. I don't know how deep this stuff goes. Like, it scared me. And I just said, I want out. And I hoped that my dad, and it was never about money. I had hoped that my dad at least trusted me with his IP, like his intellectual property and his trademarks and stuff, because like I said, I would have done the right thing and upheld his, I would have made him an Elvis legacy, or a Marilyn Monroe legacy, or a Selena legacy. And I hope that whoever has his marks does that. I just know that the people around him are pretty shady and not in his best interest. I was pretty mad. I wrote someone in that camp a pretty scathing text message saying, nobody's telling him to sit down. Everybody's there for a paycheck. Everybody is there egging him on because you guys are getting paid. And I said, nobody said, Dad, sit down. You don't need to be doing this. Everybody's egging him on. Everybody's pumping his ego, and I said, it's killing him.
So Scientology, a bunch of other shit. I don't get none of this. I don't understand none of this. Okay. But she calls her mom by her first name. So there's some heat there. Who the hell calls their mom by their first name? Now, her mother did have sex with her friend, right? Like her mom had sex with some guy who was like Brooke's friend. So this is pretty bizarre. There's a whole lot of bizarre stuff going on, okay? In looking for that clip, I stumbled across something that I thought I never knew existed. So we're going to read this. This is from Brooke Bolea. She's not going by Brooke Hogan here. This is Brooke Bolea. She wrote a poem about her daddy. Apparently this thing is, how old? It was retweeted in 2019. So I don't know how old this thing is, okay? But we're going to read Brooke Hogan's poem about her daddy. If you knew my father, Brooke Bolea. If you knew the dad I knew, you know his tender heart. He never wanted to hurt his fans or family from the start. If you knew my father, you would know how hard he fought and the way it brought a smile to people light, medium, and dark. We always fight a battle that people never see. And sometimes when you're hurting, you don't think logically. Human isn't perfect, and perfect is not he. But I can tell you one thing, it's just not what it seems. Because if you knew that dad I knew, you know he raised me well. He taught me folks are so much more than shades could ever tell. And if you knew my father, you would know he's down to earth. He may have slammed the giant, but remembers life's true worth. If you knew my father, if you just walked in his shoes, then you would know that microscope that comes with yellow boots. If you knew my father, you would see your own and mine. And if you knew your father, you could never find divide. Cause me, I bet your father or someone that you love maybe regrets something they wish they'd never done. So if you knew my father, remember he's a man. And you would crave relief if people judged everything you did. The Lord says to forgive them, don't be the one to stone. So please remember his strong arms when you're all alone. The lives he's changed, the friends he's made, the people he's inspired. It makes me sad to see my dad defeated and so tired. If you knew my father, you would know just how he's hurting, for he loves every one of you, regardless of your story. And if you met my father, I know he give you love. He lift you up, apologize, and give you all a hug. For those who think you know my father, remember who you are. We all can make mistakes and carry ugly scars. Because I know my father, I can promise this. Just like you and I, things we don't mean can sometimes slip. We all continue learning. This life can be so rough. So if you know my father, please try not to be tough. My father has a daughter, and I have feelings too. And if I knew your father, I would do the same for you. This was written July 2015. Holy guacamole. What the hell is this? Oh my good God. She wrote a poem. There's some good stuff in there, but my God, what the hell? Ugh. Ugh. So apparently she did a whole lot of talking. I'll play another clip from Brooke.
No, the security
Yeah.
guards. You get to
I'm gonna play.
ticket.
She's talking to
Seth.
No, this is Bubba the Love Sponge talking about Brooke and Hulk. I don't like Bubba the Love Sponge, but I'm gonna play it anyway because I've already started it.
Him and Brooke kind of had a Stevie Nicks deal. Like, that was their jam. So Stevie Nicks was in Orlando, and that's when Steve was playing with the Solar Bears, Lummy, so he knew the people of the arena that, you know, when you're playing for the hockey team that plays in your arena, you get to know the security guards, you get to know the guy that does the tickets. You know, Seth, like, if you're a Lightning player, you get to know the management of the Amalie Arena. You're fist bumping ushers left and right when you come in. Exactly. And you know, when you park, you're parking in the back of the Sally Port because you're a player. Of course. So Steve arranged it that they would kind of get backstage and Hogan wouldn't get screwed with, and they could watch Stevie Nicks from the back, kind of the backside area. And so Brooke had it all arranged. And Hogan told her, I don't do concerts. And then 3 weeks later, he's on his Instagram. He posts that he took his new wife and her 3 kids to Lizzo at Amalie Arena. And at that point, Brooke's like, I'm done. He has showed me what he thinks about me. Him and
This Brooke Hogan stuff then got deeper than rap. I don't know about this, man. From her changing face to the poem to this stuff with Bubba the Love Sponge, I don't know. We're gonna play one more clip. I think this is actually her talking. And her conspiracy theory about there being no autopsy for her daddy.
She had a calcified aortic valve, and this conversation was had like maybe 3 years ago, and the doctor said, kind of a last-ditch effort. It'll buy you 10 years, but not more. But, you know, let's not do that quite yet. I don't know if it was absolutely necessary to do it. You know, I was kind of the one to do everything holistic or minimal as possible before going to the last resort. I do think it's weird that no autopsy was performed because, yes, you can have a heart attack, but what was the reason for the heart attack is the question. Because if he was up and doing breathing exercises and stuff, that means that the surgery on his heart was a success and it was working. So the first thing, you know, if he went into AFib, the first thing that people would want to do, doctors would want to do over at Tampa General would be either a cardioversion or what's the thing with the burning the nerves, the
ablation.
Right. He had so many ablations and so many cardioversions. I remember back then praying, dear God, please don't let this be the day my dad dies. I mean, we were there back then, and he got through all of it. And there was one day we were at home, and he's like, my heart's starting to race. And I kind of was like, let's try something different. I said, Dad, take a Valium. He goes, oh, that's not going to work, you know? And I said, just take a Valium and just lay down and drink some water and breathe. And I bought him, you know, because we didn't have like an oxygen machine at the house. I actually went on Amazon and I bought like the cans of oxygen that like hikers use when they go up in high altitude.
Right.
And I said, take a hit off the oxygen, take a Valium, lay down, chill. His heart returned back to sinus rhythm. So I was like, maybe we're just overdoing it. He had a calcified aortic.
Okay. I'm going to leave this to the professionals, but this is pretty bad. this Hulk Hogan thing is a disaster. And it always happens as soon as somebody dies. It's a big, big issue. It's a big, big. And Brooke's doing all this talking now. Her brother ain't got nothing to say. Her brother ain't got a damn thing to say. He just wants to slink away, wear the red and the yellow, and say his piece, and just, that's it. Very weird. It's sad Hulk never got to meet his grandchildren. Yeah, that's really sad, isn't it? Because they weren't that close. See, if she'd have said she hated him, she'd have had to give a reason why. But he was funding her career when, she wanted to be, I don't know, a rapper or a pop star or some nonsense. And then I think it wasn't the producer, the guy that she was banging, that the reason why he made the rap tape and the rap tape, the nigger tape, because she was dating some kind of music producer or something like that. I can guarantee you, if she's banging the producers, ain't nothing coming out of that. There ain't no music coming out of that. I can guarantee you that, brother. Now, one more thing on the Hulk Hogan issue, because this one is this is serious business. Vincent Kennedy McMahon is going to do an interview for the upcoming Hulk Hogan thing. They're doing a Hulk Hogan story. I forget who it is. I think it's TMZ is doing a Hulk Hogan story. And Vince McMahon is actually going to sit down and talk to TMZ about the Hulkster. Apparently, Vince actually also did a eulogy for Hulk at the funeral. There's not, any pictures at the funeral or anything either, which is very weird because they said pretty much everybody was at the funeral, and there's virtually no pictures or video or anything. So it says here that Vince McMahon will appear on Fox. So let's click this. Let's see what's going on here. I thought it was TMZ. I don't know if it's TMZ. I don't know if it's Fox. I'm about to figure it out. I'm about to find out right now. So, okay, so it's a TMZ focusing on the life and complicated. There's nothing complicated about this, my God. Complicated legacy of Hulk Hogan. It's set to premiere August the 12th on Fox, entitled TMZ Presents the Real Hulk Hogan. The documentary will be the first major special to air following the cultural icon's death on July 24th. I got to put my timer on because I got to watch that. I got to watch that. Let me put, I need to write that down. I need to put that on my, there's no way I'm missing this. There ain't no way I'm missing a documentary, brother. No way, boss. TMZ, the real Hulk Hogan. The real Hulk Hogan. And it's going to be Tuesday, August the 12th. It doesn't say a time, but Vince McMahon is going to be doing an interview for this thing. So, it's going to be between 8 and 9. So it's going to be competing with NXT on Fox Network. So it says it's going to be on Hulu the next day. It would also be available on Fox.com, Tubi, and various on-demand platforms. I want to watch that joint that night. Maybe I'll watch it at work or something too. I definitely want to do a review of that. If Vince is going to be in it, I'm looking forward to it. And it seems like the sort of right-wing Republican Party, like the Fox types, they're doing a really bang up job of trying to rehabilitate Hulk Hogan. They basically have adopted him. So now all of these like MAGA types have just basically adopted Hulk Hogan and keeping him alive, and in terms of culture and everything, which I that's humorous. But that's something. That is something indeed. Just a little thing that I noticed. Yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't go to your own father's funeral. That just meant that there was going to be some people at the funeral she didn't want to see, which is reason enough to not go. If there were some people that you don't want to see at this thing, then don't go. We got another Undertaker is upset situation. This one's even funnier than the previous one. The previous one was Undertaker was mad at people playing video games. Now Undertaker is pissed off because he goes backstage and they're making TikTok dances. So he says, quote, "I'm a notoriously old school dude. It's disheartening sometimes when I go to shows, and if you can even find talent backstage watching matches, like most of them are filming TikToks and doing all this other stuff. Even when I was on the road full time, if you weren't sitting there watching the monitor, it was going to be a bad day for you." Yeah, Lola Vice is back there shaking her rump. Because now Undertaker is mad that the kids are making TikTok videos instead of watching matches. It is kind of disrespectful, I guess. You could at least watch your peers and give them some feedback or give them, some respect. We all see these backstage, what was that, Beyond the Mat and all that kind of stuff where people was watching the monitor, but there was no cell phones back then. So outside of chit-chatting and playing cards and all that kind of stuff, they were watching the other matches. They were watching the other performers and stuff. Now there's so many different distractions. I'm not surprised. They're playing video games and making TikToks, and it's all like high school rather than a job. So I mean, it's weird. But he had a long conversation with Gunther. Apparently, not interested in what this blockhead Gunther has to say. I saw a couple of quotes that made me smile because it just goes to show that he wasn't a mark, but he's a blockhead nonetheless. Blockhead European too at that. But speaking of Gunther, Bret Hart don't like Gunther. We're gonna go to this one next. Bret Hart says he told Gunther to his face that his chops are bullshit and lazy wrestling. So Bret Hart says this: "I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn all the time." Oh, really? You're Bret Hart. Literally, that's all you do is toot your own horn. Who? What other horn do you toot? He said, "But the best wrestling has to pretend to be real. That's what I did. I tried to make it look as real as I could. Contrary to that Gunther guy, I hate wrestlers that hurt each other on purpose. I hate it when you're out there getting beat up and hurt a guy for real. The chops look like shit. They make a big slap sound, but they hurt. It's not supposed to be real. Like, I'm not supposed to really wake up with a sore chest the next day. So I have no respect for guys that hurt each other all the time. It's just, to me, lazy shit wrestling when guys like Gunther, and I've told him this to his face, it's bullshit. Like, when you're hurting somebody for real, you're unprofessional, and I wrestle guys never hurt anybody." Now, Bret Hart notoriously don't like chops. Bret Hart don't like chops. He's not the only one that don't like chops. Raven also doesn't like chops. But that's why he didn't like Ric Flair, because Bret Hart said Ric Flair, he overused the chops. Kurt Hennig also used chops. If you watch Kurt Hennig wrestle Bret Hart, he did throw chops, but he didn't throw a lot of them. He also didn't throw chops as hard as he could. But Gunther, like about 60% of his offense is chopped. Now, you could argue that Gunther just works kind of stiff, but Brett has been anti-Gunther, and this is pretty funny, considering the people who really like Gunther think that Bret Hart is, the best, and it turns out that Bret don't like Gunther either. So that's pretty good. I like that. I like that. That's amazing. Yes, I just read that too. I just happened to be on Twitter and I saw that at the top of my thing. Apparently, he had 2 strokes in his sleep, and he woke up paralyzed on his left side. Man, I hope that guy is okay. He's only 37. My word, jeez, man, that's tough. All right, so we're gonna go to Paul Heyman. He's doing a conversation with Ariel Helwani, and they're gonna talk about Brock Lesnar.
Nah,
I should have played this earlier.
I don't pay attention.
I should have played this earlier, back to back with the Lance Storm clip, but I wasn't thinking about it. So here's Paul Heyman and Ariel Helwani talking about Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, how long has that been in the works for? That happened real quick. Really? Yeah, that happened. Like, what's real quick? Week, 2 weeks? A couple weeks. Okay. I mean, at least to my knowledge, I got tagged into it after the deal was done. Okay. And when you say deal, like, did you need a deal to come back? What do you mean by deals?
Well, he wasn't coming back on speculation.
No,
he is Brock Lesnar.
No. What I mean by that is, like, did he have to sign a new contract, or was he still? Because we hadn't seen it for 2 years.
Oh, I'm sure there's a new deal involved.
Okay. And obviously, this has been met with some criticism, right? There's still this ongoing.
Everything in life is met with criticism. I don't pay attention to that.
Is the criticism fair?
Nah, I don't pay attention to it. He's here. See, that's a reality of the fact. He's here. And if you were in MetLife Stadium on Sunday, you would understand that return meant a lot to that audience. That audience was shocked to see Brock Lesnar come out and to see him F5 John Cena. Nobody left MetLife Stadium going, oh, God, they brought back Brock. People were just going nuts. That's our paying audience. They're happy to see him. I'm happy to be part of a team that presents him. Everyone has criticism in life. There are people that criticize Jesus. There are people that criticize Moses. There are people that criticize Muhammad. There are people that criticize God or gods. There is no president that has ever existed with 100% approval rating, or there's no president that's ever existed that someone hasn't pointed to and say that president sucked. There are people who to this day think Abraham Lincoln sucked. They're wrong, but they think it. There are people who thought FDR sucked. They're wrong, but they think it. Bill Clinton doesn't have 100% approval rating. Donald Trump doesn't have 100% approval rating. Nobody does. There's always going to be critics of anything that we do.
He's filibuster.
And very few people ever make it to the top in life without either making mistakes or having skeletons in their closet. Obviously, the decision was made. It's time to bring back Brock Lesnar. Whatever that decision is based on, I respect it. If they're critics of it, get over it. He's here. And he's going to be here. And you ain't going to be able to cancel him. And I'm happy to have him back because the audience is happy to have him back. If we brought him back and the audience rebelled against it, I wouldn't be happy to have him back. And be like, oh man, this doesn't work. But it works. So I'm happy about it. Brooke.
You know what? There's something about Paul that I like. He's a bullshit artist, but that was shooting straight right there, okay? He's a master of bullshitting. It's probably the tiny hat stuff. It's the tiny hat DNA, okay? So he's really masterful with the filibustering, and he's really good. But at the truth is how he really feels. How he really feels is at the end, where he's kind of like, he's back, get over it. You know, like that's how he really feels about it. All that other stuff was just him feeling, that was all foreplay. How he really feels about this subject was right at the end. He's like, we don't really care. All right, that's kind of how it is. And Paul can do this, and Triple H can't. Triple H will try to blame John. Triple H is trying to blame Nick Khan. He's trying to blame somebody else. Paul Heyman's like, whatever. It is what it is. Take your L and go about your day. That's amazing. It's that tiny hat DNA. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. That's what's going on here. Great stuff from Paul. Amazing stuff from Paul. Big Armada says it could be worse than Gunther doing chops. You could be John Moxley or Darby Allin doing death matches where everybody's kicking out of power drivers and splash plates of glass, or getting stabbed in the head with forks. They were stabbing each other with forks for like a shoot. They were stabbing each other with forks. They're retarded. Absolutely retarded. Oh, this is for my sports fans. This is going to do this one just for the sports fans. There has been some conversation about Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game, about there being no video evidence of it occurring. Well, Pablo Torre found audio versions. So he has audio proof that the 100-point game actually did happen. I'm gonna retweet it. You follow me on Twitter, so you can see it. But I saw for weeks and weeks, months, years now, that people said that they don't think that this game even existed. But Pablo Torre managed to find somebody who played in the game. You know, it was audio from somebody who was actually in the game when it happened, and he had the audio of the sports cast, the cast of the game. You know, they used to play stuff over the radio. You mean Drake Wirtz? Yeah, I know he apologized on at the Juggalo show, which is a weird place to apologize at. You go to the Juggalos to apologize for some other weird shit that you did. Very bizarre stuff here. Very bizarre. Nick Khan is another Vince. He said he don't want to hear that you're tired. He has no interest in tired people. People got so upset about that. They're like, no, you're going to work people to death. You got to understand, at his level, you can't. You can't, turn your phone off when you get to that level. When you're at the CEO, president level, that's a 24-hour gig. If something happens, you need to get up off your ass and go fix it. You don't get to turn your phone off. All right? That don't happen. John Cena got hair plugs, and he's very happy about it. Well, hair transplant. He's very happy. Did I cook MVP yet? No need to. There was no need to, because the story came out that MVP doesn't like Speedball Mike Bailey. I was wondering why, and I had a whole lot of shit in my mind. And then before I did the review, because I was going to talk about it today, but I was going to do the video last night and after Dynamite, and I was so tired after watching Dynamite. But then I went online and I saw a picture of the video of him and Mike Bailey, playing around together, and I figured, okay, maybe they made too much of it. Maybe they made too much of the MVP refusing to lose and refusing and all this. I'm like, man, maybe they make it too much of this stuff. So I'm gonna let it go. If it comes up again, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But we'll see what happens. But these people, they stay doing dumb shit. You say Tracy Ellis Ross looks good for her age. She does. She's kind of thin though. You said apparently Cross and Starlight got a new contract offer. I think Cross shot that down, if I remember correctly. I think Cross shot that down. I think he said that wasn't true. You think Swerve is the one leaking bad info? Well, that would sound like something he would do, because it did come out that him and Lashley had creative issues. You know, they had creative issues, and that's why they got separated. I want to talk about King of the Hill. We're gonna do King of the Hill and Fantastic Four on Saturday. We're gonna talk about that for sure. I definitely suggest people go watch King of the Hill. All right, I think I've been plowed through all the stuff that I had prepared. Dave Meltzer called WWE a sleazy company and then deleted the comments. And then, because he put out a short, well, somebody did, referring to WWE as a sleazy company, and then they deleted it. That's just going to make me start saving stuff. When you delete things, you make me want to start saving it. You thought King of the Hill sucked? He said, thought on MJF winning a shot at Hangman, but also having Money in the Bank contract. What logic is that? WWE did it once. They did it once. When Edge won the Gold Rush tournament to get a match with Batista while he had the Money in the Bank contract. That was one of the few times I think a Money in the Bank winner actually had a championship match without using the briefcase. But I don't understand why AEW has this contract thing anyway. I don't understand it. They do weird stuff. I'm telling you. I'm trying to get all this Brock shit out of my bookmarks, because none of this stuff is useful anymore. Again, I can't do any more smart tears on this subject. I can't talk about this subject anymore. It's so much. You heard it was woke? Not really. I think it kind of it pokes fun at some things. I think people took some clips out of context, like the clip about Dale being a conspiracy theorist. He's always been a conspiracy theorist. You know, the stuff about Newsmax and all that. It's a little on the nose, but I wouldn't call it woke. I wouldn't call it woke. I think it's a fun show. Feel free to watch it and come up with your own ideas, but I think that when it comes down to it, they do what King of the Hill does very well, which is they introduce a concept and pretty much show you both sides of it. Like they did a Manosphere episode, and it wasn't just hating on the Manosphere. It showed you the positive things, but also showed you how it can go too far. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a problem with it. I don't think it's woke. I think that she's going to hold those belts forever. I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't think she's ever going to lose any of them. I think she's going to fuck around, get injured, and then that's going to be how all those belts get vacated. Man, 2 strokes. That's terrible. I'm gonna have to pray for brother tonight, man. 2 strokes? Sheesh. Oh man. The All In 2025 got AEW enough the momentum in the world to get people's attention, and they lost that in 2 weeks flat. I was surprised to see that rating went up this week. I was actually surprised by that. So something tells me they either had a really strong lead in, or there was something on that show that boosted numbers artificially. And I can't tell what that is. You know, I would understand if it was a pretty decent boost because of the Moxley Hangman rematch, but that died a death. What the hell was on that show last night that was worth watching? I don't know. I don't have a clue. I'm about to wrap this thing up in a couple of minutes. And I'm looking for some other video or something to play, to go through. But I don't think I have anything else. I don't think I saved any other articles either. I'm pretty sure as soon as I get off of this thing, I'm going to find something to talk about. I'll probably have to do a short or something. Yeah, she flew from Orlando to be with him. So she probably won't be on NXT for a while because he's going to be down bad for like a month. Hopefully not longer than that. But he said he's going to take a break from wrestling for a month. I'm thinking, brother, you might need to take longer than that. He said he's 37 and he had 2 strokes. That's not a good. His blood pressure probably through the roof. All right, guys. Yeah, NXT's ratings has been higher than Dynamite's all year. But both were pretty weak shows, if we're being honest. Both shows were weak as hell. It's all right though. NXT has a tendency to bounce back all the time. So I think once they really get it together, they're gonna bounce back. I only watch Stevie Richards' YouTube channel when he's talking about certain things. But he's got a lot of experience. You can learn some stuff from Stevie. I like, when he talks about injuries and his obsession with safety in wrestling, which is good. It's about 25 years too late, but I'm glad that he's, trying to educate wrestlers on being safer in the ring. There's something for all of us to learn from that. Remember when Grisham was at the top of PWI? If you did, he would remind you himself, even post-stroke. It might be the only thing he remembers when he wakes up the next day, is that he's married to this muscle-bound she-devil, and that he was at the top of the PWI. I was top 5 PWI, or top 15 or whatever. He probably got that bitch framed on his refrigerator at this point, bro. Stevie Richards don't like Jade. Color me surprised. I'm not surprised at all he don't like Jade Cargill. I ain't surprised at all. He don't seem like the kind of wrestler he would go out on a limb for. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you guys over the weekend. We'll talk about Fantastic Floor and King of the Hill. Till then, guys, be blessed.